Hello all and welcome to Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on this gorgeous little clutch purse that you see right here. Now I call it a clutch purse because it was made for myself to wear at an evening event, and I wanted to make a beautiful clutch purse to match an outfit that I wanted to wear. So the things that I did use were I thought I was going to use 200 grams, but I only used 100 grams, or if you want to talk meters and yards, let's go like this and I'll tell you in a minute. Does it say here what it is in meters? It's 115 meters per skein, and I'll pop the actual yards up here in a minute. Gorgeous. But I used two of them. So 230, 235, whatever. In fact, this is what's left of the two skeins that I used. Okay. I worked with two skeins together. So I actually walked away with probably another 3 or 4 grams worth of yarn. So I didn't actually use all of the yarn anyways. But what I did was I purchased 2 of these yarns with the 2 different dye lots. Okay, on purpose to use 2 of them together at the same time. And I did that so that the bag would be firmer. It's still a little bit soft in my opinion. If you have a 3rd one or a 4th one, use that. Make it as thick as possible. This to me is still a little bit soft. However, I do like it and I do like it. Now the handles came with a pack from Abbey Road, and it came with one of these little clasp things that you can put on, but then I realized once I opened the bag that our bag was too thick for it and the clasp wouldn't go on. The actual screws themselves are really, really tiny. Check out those screws right there. So I couldn't use a clasp, which I was really upset about, but I did use the handles. So all you had to do was pop the handles in. I had a lot of trouble getting them in because this was really tight and it was hurting my fingers trying to get it in, but I got it in anyway. And that's pretty much it. We used the extended single crochet throughout the whole piece, except the last few rows here were single crochets and single crochets chain to single crochets, that kind of thing, to give it the picot edge look. Now that I look back at it, I think the purple is a little too dark, but that's okay. Actually, the colour combination was in a mystery pack, and was chosen by the lovely Green Butterfly on one of our lives during Live Antics. Okay, now Live Antics we have every Saturday mornings. That's actually part of our live at 10 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time. Marry that up with your country. And one subscriber gets to choose a colour combination from a mystery pack. And I wrap 3-4 different packs, that kind of thing. And Green Butterfly chose one pack. We opened it and it was this gorgeous purple. But it was 4 skeins and I only used 2. So I only used 100 grams worth of 8-ply DK weight 3-weight cotton. Now if you're going to use a larger ply or a thicker yarn, your bag will end up so much bigger than ours. How big is it, I hear you ask? Let's grab the measuring tape and I'll give you some measurements. In width, the actual bag itself is 25 centimeters or 10 inches. In length, it is 14 centimeters or 5.5 inches. Now I do say if you want yours longer or wider, then go ahead and do a few more rows before completing this part, or the last 5 rows if you will. All right, I give you the option to keep going if you want yours a lot bigger than ours. All right, so know that that's the size you'll come up with when your bag is done, unless of course you're using a thicker yarn. Yours will be a lot wider and a lot longer if you will. All right, you will need a sewing needle or a darning needle. I used both of them. Okay, you may not need 2 if you don't want to. You don't have to use 2. I used 2 because this one was better to sew the side seams in. It was a lot thicker and I didn't have to pin myself, which was good. And then I used this one to weave in tails. You will need 3 stitch markers, a pair of scissors, and the actual yarn itself does call for a, I spun that around twice, can you believe it? A 4mm hook. But we're going to use a 4.5 and we are doubling our thread. So remember to double your thread if you want to have the same thickness as me, the same length and width as mine. All right, that's pretty much it. I had one of these. I did have a little button because, well, I had no choice, but I didn't have time to go and shop. I just found whatever I had in stash, which was this black one. And now I'm starting to think I might replace it with just a plain gold one like that. But for now, it got me out of trouble for the tutorial because I'd already planned to put this one on. Very disappointed. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's all good. Thank you very much for joining us again. Once again, thank you, Green Butterfly, for your colour combination in today's tutorial. I'm going to let you get started creating your gorgeous purple evening clutch. Good luck all. Alrighty guys, so here's our 2 strands. Now I've done a centre pull. If you can't do centre pull, doesn't matter. But as long as you're working with 2 strands at the same time. So grab your 2 strands and just, hold them together. That's it. That's all you need to do. Now I've actually tried winding yarn together like that. It doesn't work. So I just work with them both like this. So grab your 2 strands, wrap them around your finger once and twice, holding it there and holding it down there. Pass your back loop halfway over, hold it there, pass the other loop all the way over, pop your hook in the space and just give everything a tug. Now, I noticed when I was creating this that the purple was difficult to see. Okay, you couldn't see the stitches properly. If that is the case while we're recording, I'm going to change over to a lighter colour, but in the meantime, we're going to start and off we go. Okay, so grab your hook and start doing a chain. Chain is yarn over your hook, pull a loop through the stitch once. Alrighty guys, so as you noticed the purple was too dark, I've got 2 light pinks. Grab your yarn, wrap it around your finger once and twice, leaving yourself a long tail. Hold it there and holding it down there. Tails, there's 2. Pass your back loop halfway over your finger, hold it there, pass the other loop all the way over, pop your hook in that loop and just give everything a tug. Now all you need to do is make chains. So your chains are yarn over your hook, pull a loop through once, yarn over 2, yarn over 3, 4 and 5. All right, so you've chained 5, you need to chain 32. All right, I'm going to pop this on fast, chain your 32, meet me back here in a moment, and off we go. 6, 32. All right, from here we are going to start, and what we need to do is turn our work to the side and you can see these back bumps. Let's give you an even closer look. We're going to start our extended single crochet straight away. All right, so what you want to do is pop your hook in that back bump, pull a loop through like so, yarn over, pull through the first loop, hold it there, yeah, and then yarn over, pull through both those loops, grab your stitch marker and pop it into the top 2 loops of your stitch marker, or the top 4 loops if you want to call it that. It's really only the top 2 loops, and then you're going to continue along the way in the back bumps with your very next stitch. There's your back bump, pop your hook in, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 1 loop only. 2 loops left, yarn over, pull through the last 2, and that is your extended single crochet. You're going to do that in every stitch all the way across, always in those back bumps right there. So hook in, pull a loop through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 1, still 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. Keep going. Next bump, pull through, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Such a simple stitch. 1, 2. All right, and just keep adjusting your yarn. As you probably saw me before, got it all tangled there a bit. keep making it nice and straight, all right? Don't fuss too much. Don't sit there and line it up like that, but just, stretch it out a bit so it's not bubbled, yeah? And just pop your hook in and continue to do your extended single crochet all the way across your row. So what I want you to do, I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me do that. You are going to head off on your own, do your extended single crochet into every stitch, get to the last, 2 back bumps or 1 back bump there. I'll meet you there once you're done, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this first row, if you will. And I have one more left, and it's there. It's a little tight, but it's there, and you can actually see the back bump right there. Pop your hook in, pull a loop through, and complete your... Did I put it through? No, I didn't put it through. I only put it through one loop. We want to put it through both loops of the work. No, let's try that again. There it is. Hello. Pull a loop through, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. And you have completed your stitches. Now, you started off with a chain of 32. So if you were to count your stitches now, and let's grab a little needle here to show you. These little V's you see right here, they are your stitches. You need to count them 1, 2, 3, and 4, that kind of thing. Now just be careful here, which is why I told you to put your stitch marker. There's your chain right there. It's chain, but it's stitch 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. If you had 31, you are correct. If you have any amount of stitches, just make sure you have an odd amount. So if you want to make yours a little bigger, make it 33, make it 35, make it 37, make it so on. So it needs to be an odd amount, not 2, 4, 6, 8 or zeros, okay? But any other odd amount you can use. Just know that if you change the amounts you're making, then your bag will be the different size than ours. All right, so what we're going to do now is continue. Very simple continuing is chain 1, flip your work. You can flip it this way or you can flip it that way because we're going to work along these stitches here. There's no rules as how you turn your work. I just like turning mine like I turn the page in a book. That's how I remember it. All right, in that very first stitch, you're going to ignore your chain 1. And in the very first stitch, you're going to make your extended single crochet. So pop your hook in the stitch, and these are the little V's that you see here, yeah. Pop your hook in the stitch, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through the first loop, 2 loops left, yarn over, pull through both those loops, and pop your stitch marker in the top 2 loops of that stitch. All right, so there's nothing different from the beginning to the end of the row. You are just going to do your extended single crochet all the time. So straight into your very next stitch right there, and you can see the 2 loops in, pull a loop through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 1, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. Very simple. Let's do it into the next. And again, there's another way to find your stitch. If you can't find it, face it that way and you can see them. So pop your fingers there, turn it to the side, you know that's your stitch. All right, so through the 1 and then through the 2, into the next, through the 1, through the 2, and so on. I want you to repeat that all the way across. Do your extended single crochet into every stitch. Get to this second last stitch right there. And you can either complete it or wait for me there. Meet me there once you're done, and then we will talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the row. Now I asked you to get to your second last stitch. I actually completed my second last stitch. You need to do your extended single crochet in that stitch. So pop your hook into the chain. If it's too tight, remove your stitch marker. Mine's not too bad, considering. And continue your extended single crochet like so. And you've completed your second row. chain one, pull up a loop for a minute and just pop your stitch marker in that loop right there. And what you have now initially is that. All right, so you now have 2 rows complete. Alrighty guys, your job now is to repeat this row for the amount of rows that you need for your size. Okay, so it's just 1 row, and I'm going to complete either 29 altogether or 30 altogether. It doesn't matter, there's no rules to this purse. I'll probably end up completing 29 altogether. I've got 2 already complete, so all I need to do is another 27 more rows. But again, if you want to do more, that's entirely up to you. All right, so your job now is to head off on your own, do the amount of rows that you need, and I'm going to do 27 more rows. I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of our rows, and I've done roughly, I don't know, 29, 30. It doesn't matter, there was no rules, yeah? Because this is a no rules bag, super easy, yeah? What you want to do though is grab your measuring tape and have a look and see how big your piece is at the moment. Mine is 26 centimeters or 10¼ inches. In length and in width, it's about 24 centimeters or 9½ inches. Again, these are rough and it doesn't matter. There's no rules. However, just know that if we were to fold our bag now or our purse now, that is pretty much the size of your clutch, because now we're going to focus on making the top part. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pop stitch markers up here and up here and just leave them there. For now, we're going to do that in a minute, and then we're going to continue our piece, right? But that's pretty much the size that it's going to be, because now we're just going to have a cover, and the cover will go 3/4 of the way. We're going to talk about that in a minute. All right. In the meantime, what I want you to do is open up your bag. Now, if you want to make your purse bigger, by all means, make a couple of more rows and then meet us back here. But what I want you to do is to grab these stitch markers, just some small ones that you've got lying around. Place one in that stitch right there. And at the end of the row, you're going to pop your stitch in there. Let's leave that there. It's going to remind you to pop your stitch in there, but leave that stitch marker. Okay. And you need one for this side as well. And I've got one right here. And what we're going to do is place it in there. After we do our stitch, we'll place it in there, in the base of the stitch. All right, so I want everyone to do this. The stitch is not going to change yet. Okay, you're just going to turn your work, start, or actually do your extended single crochet like normal. Now put your normal stitch marker in that stitch like normal, and then grab that small stitch marker and place it in that space just under the stitch. All right, because that is your fold line, but don't worry about that. What I want you to do right now is continue your extended single crochet all the way across your piece. Yeah, like normal, no difference. Just keep going all the way across and get to the next stitch marker or the stitch before it. Meet me there in just a moment, and then we will talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the row, and we are going to place our extended single crochet in that very final stitch with the stitch markers. So just pull it through like normal, complete your stitch. Just remove the pink one, or whatever you started with. Remove one. Leave one there and one there. All right? And now what you're going to do is chain one, turn your work, and do your normal extended single crochet in your first stitch. Pop your stitch marker in there. And do your normal extended single crochet all the way across your piece. Super duper easy. I don't need to show you any more. You've been doing it for 100 million rows, yeah? I'm exaggerating by a few million. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to do now. All I want everyone to do is to finish off this row, Get to this stitch marker right here, do another 6 more rows, and then meet me back here once you're done. All right, head off on your own, complete this row and the next 6 rows, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of our rows. Now I did ask you to complete that row and then do another 6 rows. Don't stress if you're 1 row less, 1 row extra, that's okay. It's a forgiving pattern. What I want you to do is chain 1, turn your work. We're going to change the pattern now. The first thing you're going to change to is just doing plain single crochets across. So you pop your hook in the first stitch, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both those loops, place your stitch marker right there. And that's it. Single crochet into every stitch, hook in, pull a loop through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. In, pull through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. Easy, easy, easy stitch. Place into every stitch all the way across, so simple. Get to that last stitch marker and meet me there once you're done, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this row. You're going to place a single crochet into the stitch with your stitch marker. Very simple. Chain 1, turn, and you're going to repeat the row just 1 more time. So hook in the stitch, pull a loop through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through both those loops, replace your stitch marker right there. Single in the next, and the next, and the next. You get it, all the way across. All right, so your job now is to single in every stitch, get to your last stitch marker, wait for me there, and once again, get ready for pattern change. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this row, and we're going to complete our single crochet in that last stitch, remove our stitch marker. I said we're going to change pattern. It's only going to be a little different. So we're chaining 1, turning our work, single into the first stitch like normal, and pop your stitch marker in like normal. What I want you to do now is to count 14 stitches across doing your single crochets. All right, so single into your first. You need 15 altogether. So 1, 2, 3. So really count up to 15 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to pop this on fast and off we go. 4, 15, and there you go. We have 15 stitches. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Here we're going to chain 1 because we are creating our buttonhole. Skip 1, single crochet in the very next, like so. So you have a big gap in there. That's on the 16th stitch. Yeah, single 1. That's the second one. So 1, 2, 3, and you should get 15 all the way across until you get to the end. So we're going to pop that on fast as well, and off we go. 4, 5, and your last stitch is 15. Chain 1, remove that stitch marker. Turn your work, and you should notice again your work is still kind of pulling in. That's normal. It's okay. That's what we're looking for. Single into the first stitch. Pop your stitch marker in there. And you are going to do your singles all the way across until you get to that space right there. I believe that's 14 single crochets across. Let's try it. 1, 2, just do 14. We're going to pop this on fast and get to your 14th stitch. Okay, 1, 2, 3. 13 and 14. I tell a lie, one more stitch, 15. Because I said that your 16th stitch was where your buttonhole is. And all you're doing is going into the buttonhole over your chain 1 and doing a single crochet. Single into your next 15 across. 1, 2, and off you go doing your 15 across. Once again, I'm going to pop this on fast and off we go. And 15 in your stitch with your stitch marker. Chain 1, remove that stitch marker like so. All right, so guess what you're going to do now? Nothing. You're just going to do like that, nothing. You're just going to do a single crochet across. What I want you to do is open up that little gap before you do anything. Grab your button and make sure your button fits through that space. If it doesn't fit through that space, it's too tight, you need to take it undone and make 2 chains and skip 2. But, you know, just push it through nice and tight. You want it to be tight. You don't want it to be loose anyway, because once it's too loose, you know, crochet stretches a little bit anyway. So anyway, we're not going to do it again because you saw it go through. So what I want you to do is to do one more row single crochet. Meet me back here once you're done and get ready for big pattern change. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this row. I'm trying to get it all in there. Excuse me, just talk amongst yourselves. Alright, so here we are at the end of the row. Gorgeous. And now what we're going to do is do a single crochet into that final stitch like so. Remove that stitch marker. Now this is a good pattern change. It's a gorgeous one. I love it. Chain 1, flip your work, and do a single crochet in the first stitch like you would, like so. Grab your stitch marker. Gorgeous. No, that's not going to work. Let's try that again. There. All right. So what you want to do is skip. Let's get a close up so you can see what I'm doing. All you want to do is skip that first stitch, go into the next stitch with a single crochet, chain 2. 1 and 2 and single crochet. That's it. You'll get a tiny little picot like that. Yeah, not a real picot. I call that a fake picot. Skip 1. You like that fake picot? Skip 1, single, chain 1 and 2 and single. Easy, yeah? Skip, single, chain 1 and 2 and single. Absolute easy stitch, giving it a gorgeous little picot effect. Even though they're not picots, skip 1, single, whoops, chain 1 and 2 and single. Skip, single, chain 1 and 2, and my yarn is caught. Give me a second. And single. I don't think you need to watch me do the rest anyway. So what I want you to do is simply that. Skip, single, chain 2, single. Skip, single, chain 2, single. Do that all the way across. Get to your third last stitch really, and do your final cluster of single crochet, chain 2 and single into your third last stitch. Meet me there once you're done and get ready once again for pattern change. Alrighty guys, how did you go? Gorgeous. Just if you want to give them a gentle tug, you can. No need to. That's just me being fussy. And I asked you to do your last set at the end of this row. Now this is initially the right side of your work, but you don't have to worry about that yet. So your last set landed on your third last stitch, skip 1 and single crochet, just 1 single crochet into your last stitch. Pull up a loop, nice tall loop, doesn't have to be that long. It's just me being fussy yet again. It's just for weaving in purposes. Alrighty guys, so thread your needle, and what you would need is a needle that's a bit blunt for this part, alright? And the amount of yarn you will need, and I'll explain that to you in a minute, is make sure you thread your needle using the 2 strands, yeah? The amount of yarn you will need, and let's just bring that up, and we're going to work on it this way. So what you want to do is, let's get a close-up, you want to get... Maybe this is not the right side to show you because it's got the tail. You want to get as close to your stitch marker as you can. Not because that's the amount we need, but more so because you want to keep it nice and straight, if anything, yeah? So get as close to your stitch marker as you can. And it doesn't matter anyway because this is going to go over and you won't be able to tell, but you still want to have it nice, right? So what we're going to do is simply this. Make sure you've threaded your needle, yeah, and you want it this length, maybe double that length. It's just, no, that's too much, but it's just enough to get you across that way. Now, I'm going to do the other side first because this has got a tail, yeah. So you go over here, let's bring this up, and that's where your stitch marker is, and all you're doing is placing your piece. It's a bit dark for you, sorry guys, is place your piece there and you're popping your sewing needle into a gap of the stitch on that side, and then you're popping it into, let's see where we can put it so it stays in nicely, just into the stitch itself, right there. You might find, I can get close up for you right there. Alright, it goes through some threads. You might find 2 threads to go through. Oh, if not, just one's fine. I'd rather go through 2. So that way it's nice and thick. There you go, 2. And it's not going to come undone that way. So what you want to do is pull your thread through. Now keep your tail, let me bring that out a little bit. Give yourself a tail of, I don't know, a hand's worth so you can weave in later. For the rest of this side, what we're going to do simply is this. Okay, there's your loop. You're going to pass it forward. Just leave it in front for a minute to reinsure this so it doesn't come undone. You're just going to go through it again, straight through. And if you want to go through a different stitch, you can, so long as you are going through something there, all right? And the reason we pop this in front, if you just hold it there and then pull it, it stays in front and doesn't come down this way, all right? And that's pretty much it. Keep it nice and straight. And all you're doing simply is that. Going into the very next stitch, making sure you're going through both thicknesses of your bag. Just bring that forward so it's out of the way. You can hold it if you like to stop it from curling up. And then it just sort of sorts itself out. All right. So that's it. That's pretty much all you're going to do. Simply that. Making sure you're going through one stitch on this side, a stitch on that side, and pulling it through. If you're not sure, open up your bag and have a look, yeah, but don't because then it's going to be moving out of place and you don't want to do that. So another way of making sure is to keep your finger in between and then just find the very next stitch on this side and then go into the very next stitch on that side, and just bring that little loop forward, holding it down so that you can pull it through nicely. Don't pull through too tight because we haven't done anything with this thread yet. All right, but in the meantime, that's pretty much it. I don't think I'll let you sit here and watch me do the whole thing because it's going to take a very long time. But you pretty much know what you're doing, yeah? So over and into the very next stitch there, very next stitch on one side. You may find one stitch will be very thin. That's okay. Just keep doing it. Pass your thread there just to hold it into place so it stays where it should be. All right. So I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me do this. What I want you to do is weave this end until you get to like maybe the last 2 rows because it's a bit awkward there to do. All right. So get to the last 2 rows. Meet me there once you're done and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the row. Very difficult to see this colour online. I apologise guys. But there you go. But it's going to make a very pretty colour purse. It really will. And just keep going all the way through the thicknesses. Doesn't matter if it's really thick. You need to go through these thicknesses because this will be open down the bottom and you don't want that. Yeah, keep going. It's a bit tight there. Just bring this thread this way. And what I want you to do is go there. All right. By bringing it this way, you've kind of wrapped it around the needle. And all that's done is giving you a little bit of a knot. You're going to do that one more time. Yeah, just pop that around the needle. Just once. Which is really thick. All right, so that's that. Now what we're going to do is weave this end in. There are two ways you can do this. You can weave it in like that, or you can do what I like to do is separate the thread, re-thread it on a real sewing needle. I might cut this because it's a little bit fray. So you re-thread it on a tinier sewing needle, a thinner sewing needle that's really going to get through some yarn. And you just pop your hand, make sure everything's correct first. Probably best to turn it in and have a look. That's the right side of your work in a minute. Hence the word in a minute. Once we weave this tail in, now you've got two tails now. If you wanted to weave it in as a solid tail, you could have. I want to do it this way where I just go through some thicknesses, and I'm telling you they're very thick because this is cotton. So I'm weaving this one this side. Later I'll bring this one around this way. So if they're weaved in two different directions, there's no way that's coming undone. And by separating the threads, we've kind of pulled them apart in separate areas, so it's better. All right. Now I'm just going to re-thread this side and weave this one. We weave this one down this way the first time. So this one, we're going this way. We're still going to stay in the thickness, but we're going from this side. Let's just go through some of the thick part of the corner first. And then, I bet I didn't make that short enough. Better do that and give it a bit of a stretch there. Yeah. And then all you're doing is pretty much the same thing, but it's on the opposite side if you think about it. All right, that's pretty much it. I'm not going to overdo this because it's really tough. All right, just quickly before you do the other side, just turn this in and have a look at it. Yeah, gorgeous. It's perfect. All right, go back because you want to make sure you're sewing the other side on the right side as this. So once again, if you had a really long tail here, and we can probably have done that. If it was a really long tail, you could have used your tail to weave that end in. But doesn't matter. You'll need to weave that tail in, which will be annoying. Oh, by the way, make sure you weave that end in up the top here. You can separate them or you can weave it through as one thick one. Yeah. So just weave like you did there. Just weave along there. I've got a bit of a thread there now. Just weave right along there, along the inside there, and then later we'll turn our bag in the right way. But for now, we're going to do the other side. So you'll need another 2 strands here for your opposite side, and you're going to do pretty much the same thing. Thread your needle. Yeah. And start your piece. Now you're going to start it. Remember where we started it? Right up here, and if you can't remember, just have a quick look right there. It was right before, that's where your stitch marker is. It was the stitch of the stitch before your stitch marker. So go over to this stitch marker, grab your guide. You might want to go into the stitch just before your stitch marker, which is right there, and that way it'll keep straight. And then go into the stitch, just ignore your thread for a minute, go into the stitch of your front there. Make sure you leave a long enough tail to weave in later, yeah? And you're just going to do that one more time because you'd like to reinsure that front area to make it nice and strong. And make sure you bring your loop up so it tightens up that way and not down the front. You want it to tighten over the sides. All right, and that's pretty much it. Straighten it up. Be careful of your little tail down there. These tails, just move them out the way for now. And do what you did before. Into the next stitch there, into the next stitch on the opposite side. Just grab that loop, hold it so you can see it. Not really that close, are we? There we go. That's better. You can see what I'm doing. It's a little awkward with the colour, but you know, we're in that one right there. See there? We want to go to the very next stitch and the very next stitch on the opposite side. If it's anything like mine, it'll be tight. Make sure your loop is down and out of the way so that you can continue sewing across. And again, I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me do that. It's going to take a little while. Get to the end. Do what we did before with this one. Get to the end, separate your thread, weave it in. Meet me back here once you're done and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. All right, so we are actually flying through this. Make sure you weaved in all your ends up the top. All I did with this last 4, actually, there was 2 from the thread and then there was 1 from here. I just weaved them all down in here. All right, just make sure you weave those ends in. You can remove your stitch markers now, but remember, this is the wrong side of our work. We're going to turn our bag into the right side of our work. And make sure you just, you know, pop your finger through there, the base. Pop your finger through the base. It's just straightening it all up. Your bag is now officially on the right side of your work. Now, if you remember correctly, you did a buttonhole. It's so far away. You did a buttonhole on here somewhere. So there's your button right there. And it goes through there, right? So what you want to do, and I forgot to weave that tail in, by the way, guys, just your last tail, weave it in on the inside there, and that'll hold your piece down, okay? And you probably don't need the stitch marker. So now when it comes to your button, all you want to do is find how far down you want yours to go. If you really want your bag to be tight, you can bring it down like so. All right, so you can do that or you can do it a bit higher wherever you want your button to go. So what you want to do is rethread a needle, but just with 1 thread, yeah? And in this case, we're going to go through, and if you want to make it straight, you can, as straight as you can. Grab your button. Now, initially, my subscribers, the regulars, knew that we were going to use this little clamp thing, which would have been amazing. But I tried playing with it before. See these tiny little screws that you need? They don't go through the thickness of this particular piece. So I can't use them. So now I have to use the button. And you can still see the buttonhole there. That's pretty much where our button is going to go. So what you want to do is find your buttonhole. Just get the back of something. You could probably use a crochet hook if you like. I'm just going to use a sewing needle. And just keep it as straight as possible. Find your, where's the buttonhole? I saw it before. Oh, well, is that it there? Yeah, right there. Find the buttonhole. Just use a pin or whatever you want to use. It doesn't matter. That's where you're going to put your button. But know that you need to start from the inside of your bag, okay? If that's a little awkward, don't stress because I will show you a sneaky way of putting it through. So just pop your needle in through the top, all right? And then pop it through like so, all right? So pull it through like that. Now later, we will put that thread back in there in the same spot or even a little bit further in, doesn't matter. And then you can sew that in on the inside of your bag. But for now, we're going to add the button. Now you may have a button with holes up the top. You just go down, in, fill up 2 holes if you've got 2, fill up 4 holes if you've got 4. I've got one of these buttons where you've got to pass your needle through the little doobalaki thing right there. See that little space right there? Okay, if I can get it to sit steady. Oops, where are we? Right there. Okay, so passing my thread through like that. Now, being careful not to pull your thread because your thread is not knotted yet, yeah? So leave that there for a moment. Lift up Put your hand inside your bag, okay? Otherwise, you'll be attaching it to that and you don't want that. And you want to go back into the hole that you first started with and just bring your needle through like that. And you pull it through like so. And just give both those threads a tug for now. And then you find that little hole again somewhere. I don't know where it is. I think it's there. There it is. And you go through the hole of your buttons again. All right. And then back down into this way. Now, if you want to do it this way, you can now just pass it through like so. If that's easier for you, go through there like so. Now, you can attach your button as many threads as you like, but just know that if your needle is getting a little tight, you can't keep going through. Okay, mine, I still think I have a bit more space. This is the last time I'm going through like so. That's it. So I'm going to pass my needle back in through there just to keep it strong, right? But if you want, you could use the special way of attaching your button here where you can sew in there and it's not noticeable from the inside of the bag. But it doesn't really matter in this case because your thread is relatively thin. So what you want to do is start weaving your tail here. But before you do, just find a little stitch somewhere. And remember before how we made that little knot? Oops, that didn't work. They came out. Let's try that again. Excuse me, Mary. Find a little thread. So when you made that little knot, you grabbed your loop and you just went over the needle once. That's what I want you to do. And then you're weaving in your tail anywhere near the stitching, making sure that it's not too far out here and it's not visible, yeah? And don't worry if it's a little loose, we still have to do this side as well, yeah? And you're doing just that. Weave through once, twice, 3 times, and oh, it's really tight. That's not coming undone at all. Not at all. And then you want to cut this thread. Yeah, and I nearly cut my finger there. I felt it go close to it, but anyway, I do every day. Every time I'm working with a sewing needle and scissors, out goes one of the fingers. We don't need them. I've got 9 others. All right, so she's very naughty, guys. So rethread your first thread that you started with and pop it in. I would actually go into a different loop. I'd go into a different stitch. It'll make it tighter, or you can just pass your needle straight in on an angle. It doesn't matter. But what that's done is it's tightened up your button. And once again, you're going to do one of those. Let's put the needle through and wrap the thread around it like that. Once, twice, doesn't matter. Just once, doesn't matter. It's a knot. And then you're just going to weave your tail in a few of the stitches. There is one more job you need to do, and that's pretty simple, and that's weaving in that tail there, yeah? But that's pretty much your job. So grab your buttonhole and button it up. Ta-da! All right. Well, you're not finished yet. We're still going to add the handles, but the best part is if you don't have handles, just chain a certain amount of chains for the length that you like. Attach it in here somewhere. Make sure you're weaving the ends a little bit, then go to the other side, attach the other side, weaving the ends nice and tight, and you can have your chains. But we have this. Now, Abbey Road came with the whole kit like that, the kit and caboodle like that. I was lucky that I found a button in stock that had a bit of gold on it, so I can still use this. All right, so now we can pop this on. I'm a bit noisy, this thing. I was playing with it before, but it's noisy. And it's also very tight for me, all right? So I struggled to get mine in because this is really, really tight. So hopefully yours isn't as tight as mine. But where you want to go is the stitch. There's the front of your stitch. You want to go in that back stitch there. And you want to go, there's your bag right there. That's the end of your bag, or the front right there. You want to grab this guy, if it works, and go through that stitch. This would have paid to keep the stitch markers in. It really would. Oh, that worked right there, okay? At the back. from the inside. I tried doing it from the front before and it was showing too much, but from the inside. I'll show you this one. You can keep it straight if you like. It doesn't matter. Really, it doesn't matter. So this side here is probably easier to show you. I'm going to move this out the way so you can see what I'm doing. There's your front there, and you want to find that big space at the back. Actually, I think I might go to that one right there. In that big space right there. All right. And there you go, guys. You have yourself one gorgeous purple, mauve, lilac, whatever you want to call it, evening clutch with a beautiful gold chain and the beautiful button. I would have preferred to have had the clasp attached to it, but like I said, there was no way those tiny little screws were going to go through this thickness of cotton. All right, but thank you very much again to the lovely green butterfly for her color combination in today's tutorial. She chose the beautiful purple that you see right here. Camera does not do it justice, but there you go. All right, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. If you want to create more of Live Antics and if you want to be a part of Live Antics, join us on our lives at 10 a.m. Saturday mornings, Melbourne, Australia time. Marry that up with your country, where you, as a subscriber, gets to choose the colour combination of our very next tutorial. Once again, thank you for your support, Green Butterfly. My name is Mary. This is Wild Crochet Designs, and ciao for now.